Welcome to Men Let Me Reason, the podcast, a space dedicated to fostering open and honest conversations about the complex realities of fatherhood and ultimately manhood in today's world. We will be exploring the unspoken issues that we men face, shedding light on what society expects of us, our emotions, and our social interactions at all levels, especially within the family. This podcast isn't just about acknowledging issues, it's about us men being accountable, transparent, and finding solutions while building strong support systems. So men, let me reason. Welcome to another episode of Men, Let Me Reason. This is the podcast where we discuss the unspoken realities of manhood. I am Fabian Sargent. I'm your host, and today we will be focusing on fatherlessness. It is an area that has plagued us for a long time, and with me to discuss this topic is none other than Robert Christopher Riley. Sir, it's a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure. It's a heavy topic.
Yeah.
It is not a topic to really smile about.
No.
And
You can find reasons to smile about it, though.
Yeah.
When you persevere,
yeah,
there's reasons to be happy about it.
Yeah, man. So you are, people call you a movie star. You're Barbados, little Barbados.
Everybody needs a job. I tell stories on TV and film for a living. That's about it. I'm glad that people enjoy it. Thank you. Thanks for watching.
Yeah.
Please keep watching.
And how has the tour been so far?
Oh, it's been great. My good friend Asa Corey Beckles is how I know you, and
man.
I was able to talk to the young men at Safe Zone, which I appreciate you guys welcoming me there yesterday, and that was a great way to kick off the trip. And then we kind of toured the island yesterday, a lot of rum shops, a lot of talking, a lot of just chatting with people, and then this morning we went to the Atlantis submarine, which was amazing. I didn't even know that we had that. As many times as I've been to Barbados, I had no idea we had that. You should definitely check it out if you haven't. And now I'm here, and we'll take in some couple of festivities later on this week, and then, before we head back Sunday.
Man. It is indeed a pleasure having you here in Barbados. As you talk to the guys at Safe Zone, I get to learn a bit more about you.
Yeah.
I get to realize that your dad was Bajan.
Yes, he was. May he rest in peace. Yeah. Brantley, Llewellyn, Christopher Riley.
Yeah. And you spoke of the challenges you had with your dad, or not having your dad around. But I guess you really start by, I would like to find out from you, what does fatherhood mean to a man who did not have a father being present in his life?
Well, I have the fortune of having two daughters via my wife. So I'm the stepfather to two teenage girls, 19 and 20. I had no idea how to approach that, having no real example in front of me. I was fortunate enough, and my mother was intelligent enough to put me in front of, or under the tutelage and guidance of other men that were respectful and taught me what it meant to be a man. And I took all of that to heart. A lot of them I'm still in touch with. I make sure that they're proud of me, and I sing their praises as often as I can. But I didn't know what it meant to be a dad, right? But what I figured it meant was to be a protector, a provider, someone who provides guidance, and first and foremost approaches it from a place of love.
You said you figure.
Yeah.
You figure.
Yeah.
Where that information come from?
I don't know. I mean, that's how I was treated by these men that were in my life, whether they be coaches or teachers or advisors or Boy Scout masters or priests, whoever they were. I was a football player. I was an altar boy, or acolyte, if you want to call it that. I was a Boy Scout. I was in chorus, and I had the privilege of having these great men look out for me, knowing that I didn't have a father, and that's part of what I spoke to yesterday at Safe Zone. Is one of the most important things when you don't have a dad is to identify the people in your life, men or women, but in this case we're speaking of the men, the male figures. Identify the ones who do have your best interests at heart and will keep you going in the right direction, even if you want to sway and stray a little bit. They can give you the grace to do that without it resulting in a catastrophic series of events or derailing your life, right? So when I say I figured it out, I put it together like a jigsaw puzzle. I took a piece from here and a piece from this one and a piece from that one. And all of the things that worked on me is what I try to do, and not just with our children, but also with any young people that I have the privilege of teaching or mentoring or coaching or, what have you.
Yeah. But even though you had that mentorship from other men, that leadership, that example of what masculinity is, there was still a void.
Absolutely.
There was still a void. And speak to that void, that longing for your biological father. What difference do you think he would have made?
Well, I don't know. I'm happy the way things turned out. I don't know who he would have been. My mother had to divorce him because he was not a very good person. He was a physically abusive person. He cheated on my mother, and he wasn't there as a result of the choices that he made. So I don't know who he would have been in my life were he to stick around. I have a half brother who's a year and a half younger than I am, who was raised by him and does not speak very highly of him. So I don't know what that would have been like, but I do know what the absence of him was like many times, because those coaches and teachers and priests and so on and so forth are not in your home. They're not there every day. You got to go to practice, and you get them for 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. Would it have been better for them to be in my house? Absolutely. Do you sometimes think that it's your fault that they're not there? Yes. And it almost always never is your fault that your dad isn't around. And realizing that can alleviate some of the anger and frustration or even hate that can manifest itself in many different ways, mostly negative. It sucks not having a dad. That's just the truth. It sucks. It hurts. And usually when you're mad, it's because you've been hurt. So anger is a mask for pain. If you can acknowledge that you've been hurt, then you can try to fix it. Otherwise, you're just going to be mad. And it's okay to get mad, but you got to try and switch it as soon as possible. Try to make an instantaneous switch from that anger, from not having your dad can't take you to work, go to take your kid to work day. Your mom always has to do it. There's no father-son game for you. Mom's got to do it. You can't ask your dad what it's like to go through puberty, or how to talk to a girl, or you might ask the wrong person. You most likely can't ask your mother, because that would be embarrassing, or at least you'd think it would be. Not to mention she'd have a different perspective because she's a woman. It's tough not having your dad.
How did you channel that energy though? Yes, you can be angry, but you also understand that anger is an emotion, aggression is a behavior.
Correct.
And you can be angry, but you don't have to be aggressive.
No, not at all.
Being able to manage that anger is critical. So how did you manage your emotions? And I'm thinking that maybe there was a lot of anger in there.
Oh yeah. I played American football from 11 to 18, 19 years old. That's an outlet. I never got in trouble on the field for going too far, but I got the chance to hit somebody. I lifted weights. I still lift weights. I participate in vigorous exercise. Those are all outlets for that pent up frustration or hostility, that extra energy that you have. There are times that I didn't do what I was supposed to do, and the anger manifested itself as aggression, and usually I ended up in trouble. Now I managed to stay out of trouble, again, due to and thanks be to God for those men that were in my life, and also my other family members and my mother, that kept me on the straight and narrow. So I never got too bad. But it happened. But thankfully, for whatever reason, I had the foresight to look for help. I know I'm doing something wrong. I know I can't hit that person. That's not supposed to, that's not cool. Trying to figure out why you did it. Removing yourself from situations. Sometimes it can be as easy as that. I know if I stay here, I'm gonna get upset. So let me move.
Choices.
Yes, choices and decisions. Your life is full of them. And that's, we are all a sum of our choices and decisions. I had this conversation with Ace last night. Like, eat what you eat, drink, breathe. That's a choice and a decision that affects who you are in life moving forward. And every one of those things are how you treat everybody that you interact with. More often than not, you have a choice in that behavior. And why would you want to be a bad person?
I don't think people choose to be bad, situations and how they're managed, how they're handled. You mentioned seeking help.
Yes.
Men see seeking help as weakness. As weakness.
Yeah.
What would you say to men who see seeking help as weakness?
I would say that there is almost nothing that you can accomplish in life without help. Even if that help comes from a book, or that help comes from a person individually, or it comes from, I say book, young people will be like, I don't have books, a website. I get it. It was in a book at one point, now it's on a website. Not only is there nothing wrong with seeking help, it's vital for you to seek out help in order for you to grow and succeed and enjoy life as a person, as a young person, and as an adult, and as an old person. They say once a man, twice a child, right? You get later, you're a child at first, and you get to be an adult. You need all the help. You still need some help. Now you need all the help. So if you stop looking for help and think that you can do everything by yourself, you're gonna come up short more often than not. And you might find yourself in a jam where you now need even more help. And that help might be impossible. If you tell me that you're having a problem with somebody, I might be able to help you with that. But if you went and stabbed the person and now you need me to help you get out of jail, that's a whole different help. And that might be impossible. So the earlier you ask for help, the earlier you identify the problem, just like identifying the people in your life that can help you. The earlier you do that, the better off you will be. And it's an important thing for young men and young women, young people in general, and a lot of adults, to understand that help is necessary and everyone needs it. So you're not alone. You're not weaker than the next person. You're not more handicapped or invalid than the next person. Everybody needs help in some way. Some of us more than others, and it might not even be the phrasing of more, it's just in a different way.
Correct. We all go through challenges.
Absolutely.
But what separates us is how we deal with these challenges.
Yes.
And getting help, sometimes counseling, finding someone that you can trust.
Yes.
Yeah, sometimes journaling. I mean, if you want to write, just being able to let it out.
Yes.
To get rid of that weight. It's like a weight. You mentioned earlier about being an altar boy, and you spoke of God.
Yes.
How critical was that in your life in terms of dealing with the issues coming out of that fatherlessness?
Well, being under the tutelage of those priests as a young man, those were the first father figures that outside of like my uncles that had authority over me and were teaching me some of the what you could call the proper tenets of life and how to respect others, how to be kind and compassionate. I was fortunate to have great priests. We didn't have any shenanigans in my church like I know other people have unfortunately experienced. So I was able to look up to them, and they were always interacting with our parents. My mother was in the choir, and my grandmother went to church. My grandmother came over from Trinidad to help raise me, so I was raised with two parents. They just both happened to be women.
Caribbean.
Yeah, I was a little Trinidadian kid in Flatbush, Brooklyn. But I was raised. I ate all the food. I listened to all the soca and calypso, and like that. I just happened to be born over there.
Yeah.
But for me, the importance of God, of religion, of knowing that you're not the top of tops. You're a tiny speck in a real big machine, a real big, majestic painting that you only have but so much control over in terms of you can't dictate everything. That would be selfish.
Yeah.
And I think that people that think that they can usually comes from an absence of an acknowledgement for God. Whatever the religion is.
Yeah.
Right? I think all religions, there's a through line that you can line up all the religions, and if all the things that are the same, that's God. That's just me.
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody's allowed to go to whatever church, synagogue, mosque, temple, place of worship that they want. I don't care if you're agnostic, I don't care if you're Catholic, but if you tell me that there is no God, well then, what's stopping you from doing anything?
And that is the challenge, because I found that a lot of people are moving away from that,
Hopefully just moving away from it formally and not entirely. If you don't want to go to church, like I don't necessarily go to church that often anymore, but I'm glad I went when I was young because I have a relationship with God. I pray more now than I did when I went to church. So if you don't want to go to the building, don't go to the building. But you got to learn it from somewhere.
Yeah.
You got to get the help so that you can have the knowledge of what God could mean, how to behave in his image, her image, if that's what you want to say, whatever. I don't care. That's not an important part of it. You got
to understand.
It's the basics of human civility that were originally written in a book and passed down through that channel. But I mean, those things, like I said, that through line between all the religions, like that's God. That's what matters. Treat people well. Help people that need help. Be kind to animals. Take care of the planet.
Critical. You say that you're a dad to two children. You have two children.
God bless them.
God bless them and their mother. How would we, let's say, break that cycle of fatherlessness and the issues that plague you coming out of that, with your children?
I mean, some of it is just Don't have children until you're ready to. That's one. And a greater respect for women in general, which I think is something that we've been losing in society. It's a slippery slope, but and maybe even a greater respect for family as a whole. Life's better when you got a whole complete family. I love the fact that I'm married and I have two daughters.
Yeah.
My life's a lot more fun now than it was when I was running around.
Yeah.
Because to have people in your life that you know you can count on makes it easier to get up and go to work. It makes it easier to come home.
It's like filling that void that you never had, you know, that
Exactly.
filling that void and taking control of your own life.
Yes.
You know. But you mentioned that you forgive your father.
Yes.
I remember you speaking to
After
that.
he died. But
After
yes.
he died.
Which was 14 years ago.
How was that for you? What was the changes you saw in you? I mean, by forgiving.
Yeah, I mean, I used to hate my dad because he wasn't there, and he lived not too far away, but he never chose to be a part of my life. He was in Brooklyn. I was in Brooklyn. He was raising another family. That was as a result of him cheating on my mother. So I hated him. He was physically abusive to my mother. I couldn't imagine somebody doing that. I hated him for that.
Yeah.
Hate is such an active thing, though, that it's exhausting. It's absolutely exhausting. And there's a freedom in letting that go. It's the first step on the road to forgiveness. Is I don't hate you anymore. I might be apathetic. I might say, well, I don't really care about you either. But I don't hate you anymore. But then when you grow up as a man, you mature as a man, I think you start to understand that people make mistakes and they make poor choices, and those poor choices yield certain results. And freeing yourself of the burden of actively hating that person makes a greater capacity within you to love people.
Yeah.
And like, hate is dark and heavy, hard to carry, hard to keep up, but love is so easy and freeing, and you can love everybody and share that love with people. Like, you know, the first thing I did in Barbados was come to Safe Zone.
Yeah.
And told these kids, I just want you to know there's somebody in the world that loves you and cares about you that's never even met you.
Yeah.
If I had that hate in my heart, I wouldn't want to do that. I wouldn't want to. How could I even talk to those young men?
Yep. He had his like drinking poison and expect the other person to die.
Absolutely. And that'll never work.
Yeah.
So, you know, absolving yourself of that burden of hate is a very big thing. It's really important to do. And it doesn't require the other person to apologize, to even be there. Like I said, my father passed. It's 16 years ago, 2008. I didn't go to his funeral. My reasoning then was, he never did anything for me. Why am I going to go do something for him? But when he was being buried, I felt like I was supposed to be somewhere. And I remember looking out at the rain. I was in rehearsal for a show on Broadway, and I was not going to take off of work for somebody that didn't care about me. But I swear it was when he was going into the ground. I felt like I was supposed to be somewhere, and I was like, oh, that's it. That's where I was supposed to be right now. And notice I said I was supposed to be there.
Supposed to be.
I wish I went.
Any regrets?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I wish I had went. But I was not in a position emotionally, psychologically at the time to go do that, because I'd have been mad in the church.
Yeah.
And that don't make no sense.
Yeah. You mentioned that you do a lot of work with young people. And part of that conversation, you know, you said like that could only be possible when you release that hate.
Yeah.
As you said, you know, you open up your heart to love.
Yeah.
You know, so tell us a bit about that in terms of.
I wouldn't have the
those young
capacity to
people.
even be a stepfather if I hadn't stopped hating him and let that go and go, okay, he made those mistakes. I'm not going to make that mistake.
Yeah.
I not only appreciate being able to do that, but it goes back to my appreciation and showing my appreciation for the men who decided to take time out of their lives to usher me in the right direction. Right? So I am constantly and consistently proving them right.
Yeah.
They were right to take the time out of their life to guide me in the right direction, because they wanted to make the world a better place.
Yeah.
They wanted to make the world a better place. They wanted to create a better young person. They wanted to create better young people, help to nurture and grow better young people. If they did it, I can do it.
Yeah.
I was taught how to do it. I appreciate it. It made me who I am today. I would be an ungrateful fool to not at least attempt to do it for somebody else, no matter where you are in the world, even in Barbados.
Yeah. We have some fathers who are purposely not active in their children's lives, because there are fathers who are not in their lives due to court and other issues, but there are some that are purposely not there for whatever reason, whether it be that they don't know how to connect or whatever. As we close down this, what message would you have for those fathers who have the ability, the opportunity to be present, but choose not to be present? What would you tell them?
The only reason that we're having this conversation right now is because y'all weren't there. Do you know how many other ways this could have turned out? Do you really want that for your child? Make an effort. Just start somewhere. Even if you have to start by apologizing. Even if you gotta suck it up and say you were wrong. It's not that you're necessarily gonna become best friends with the child's mother again, if that ever was a thing, or y'all would get back together. Maybe you gotta be honest and tell your wife something, that you cheated on her. Maybe you gotta, whatever it is you gotta do, you gotta start somewhere. Because, again, we would not be having this conversation if, unfortunately, the majority of the time it doesn't go well when the dad's not there. So, try, please.
Yeah. Robert, thank you so much for sharing, man, and being vulnerable, being so open with us. And we need a lot more men like you that are making a positive impact on this world to share their story, so that we can help a lot of these youngsters out there. A lot of boys, a lot of men are hurting because they don't have their fathers in their lives, And I really hope that those guys, you men that watching this podcast, would take something from this discussion, It could have turned out in so many ways.
And sometimes it almost did.
Yeah, man. And you're a successful man, and you don't know exactly where your children may end up.
Yeah.
So play a part in your children's lives. I want to thank Robert again for being here. Thank you for tuning into this podcast, Men Levy Reason. Follow us on all social media platforms. Comment, share with your friends. Be present. And until next time, men, Levy Reason.